The moment my truck rolled back onto that dirt road, I saw her, standing right where the property line used to be, hands on her hips like she owned the whole mountain. 10 years gone, and somehow she was still here, still loud, still acting like the world bent around her voice. My cabin was just as I left it, hidden behind the trees, weathered but strong. But before I could even park, she stormed out from behind a new metal gate I didn't install. "Well, look who finally crawled back," she sneered. "This isn't your land anymore. HOA rules changed while you were gone." I laughed. "Karen, this isn't even HOA property. It's private land, mine. Check the deed." But she smirked like she'd already won. "We'll see what the officer says about that." From behind her SUV stepped a man in a dark uniform. No badge number, no patrol car, just a gun on his hip and mirrored glasses hiding his eyes. "Sir," he said, trying to sound official, "you're trespassing. You'll have to leave the premises immediately." Something about his stance was wrong. I'd seen real cops before, trained with them, worked alongside them. This guy's hand twitched like someone playing a role they didn't understand. I didn't move. "You sure about that, officer?" Karen folded her arms, smirking. "He's with us. The HOA hired him." I raised an eyebrow. "The HOA hired law enforcement?" She hesitated, just for a second, but that second was all I needed. I took out my phone and hit play on the recording I'd been keeping since I arrived. "Good," I said, "because impersonating a police officer is a felony. Smile for the camera." The fake cop froze. His hand dropped from his holster. Karen's face drained of color as she realized what I'd just said. You can't record here. This is HOA property." "No, Karen, this is my land, and I never stopped being its owner." The sound of my boots on the gravel echoed through the silence. Behind me, the fake cop muttered something under his breath and turned toward his car. Karen shouted after him, but he didn't stop. He just drove off, leaving her standing there, alone, furious and shaking. She screamed, "You'll regret this! You have no idea who you're dealing with!" I smiled. "Oh, I know exactly who I'm dealing with. The question is, do you?" The air felt heavier, like the mountain itself was waiting to see what came next. I could feel it. This was only the beginning. By the next morning, the rumors had already started. Neighbors whispered that the crazy guy was back, that I'd broken into my own home, that I'd threatened Karen, that I'd pulled a gun on her fake cop. She moved fast, spreading her version of the story before the truth even had a chance to breathe. That's how she always worked. Lies first, facts never. When I stepped outside that morning, my truck had a bright orange sticker on the windshield. "Violation! Unapproved structure on HOA property." I tore it off and laughed out loud. The property line was half a mile away from their development. The HOA had no say here. Still, there she was at the fence again, clipboard in hand, phone camera pointed straight at me. "Smile," she said coldly. "You're being documented for trespassing on HOA soil." I leaned against my truck, calm. "Karen, you really should stop using that word. It doesn't mean what you think it means." "Oh, it will," she waved the clipboard like a weapon. "Once I prove your land overlaps with the new HOA expansion map, you'll be fined for every single day you stay here. That's $1,200 a day." I almost felt sorry for her confidence. "You drew those maps yourself, didn't you?" She blinked. "Excuse me?" "Yeah," I said, nodding toward the clipboard. "That paper looks real official until someone checks the county records and sees the boundaries haven't changed since 1993. Her hand froze midair. She hadn't expected me to know that. I stepped closer to the fence. "See, before I left, my dad and I made sure this land stayed outside your reach, and I've still got the survey files to prove it." Her voice trembled just a little. "Then why are you hiding out here alone? What are you really doing?" I smiled, fixing what's mine. Then, just as I turned toward the cabin, she shouted, "Don't think this is over. I'll bring someone who can make you leave." That night, the power flickered twice. My daughter, she'd come up from town to help clean, peeked out the window. "Dad, there's a car out there." I looked through the blinds. A black sedan idled by the fence, headlights off. I couldn't see who was inside, but I knew the shape of that red jacket leaning against the hood. Karen. She stood there for a while, arms crossed, watching the house. When the porch light flicked on, she turned her back and got in the car. My daughter asked, "What does she want?" I didn't answer right away. I just stared at the driveway and said, "She wants control, but she's about to learn what happens when she messes with someone who's not afraid of losing everything." Because the truth she didn't know yet, the one I hadn't told anyone, was that I hadn't just come back to reclaim my land. I came back with proof of every illegal dollar that HOA ever took. And Karen was right in the middle of it.
By the third day, she stopped pretending. No fake smiles, no fake warnings, just open hostility. I was stacking wood behind the cabin when I heard the crunch of tires again. This time, 3 SUVs rolled up the gravel road, all black, all marked with white HOA decals. They parked in a line like a show of force. Karen stepped out first, flanked by 2 men wearing tactical vests that looked more costume than uniform. One had a stun baton, the other carried a clipboard like it was a badge of authority. She didn't even wait for me to approach. "You've ignored multiple eviction notices," she said loudly, so her men's body cams could capture it. "As of today, this property is being repossessed by the Homeowners Association of Clear Pines." I wiped my hands on my jeans, trying not to laugh. "Karen, this isn't your HOA. This is unincorporated land. You don't even have jurisdiction out here." Her smile stretched too wide. "We adjusted our zoning last year. You'd know that if you actually lived here." The man with the baton stepped forward, trying to look intimidating. "Ma'am, should I secure the perimeter?" She nodded. "Yes, secure everything. This is private HOA business." I raised my phone and started recording. "Private business on my land. You sure you want to call it that?" Karen's tone shifted fast. "You don't have permission to record us." "I don't need permission," I said quietly. "You stepped onto my property, and the sheriff's office gets this video the second you cross that fence." She froze mid-step. The men hesitated, glancing at each other. One whispered, "Ma'am, he might be right." But she didn't back off. "You're bluffing," she spat. "I've been running this community for 12 years. I know every law, every loophole." "Then you should have read the one that says impersonating authority is a felony." I swiped the screen and played a clip from my porch camera, her fake cop from last week, flashing that phony badge saying, "By HOA authority, you're under arrest." Her face went pale. "Delete that," she snapped. I stepped closer. "Can't. It's already backed up to the sheriff's office, the county legal team, and 3 news stations who love HOA stories like yours." The 2 enforcers slowly lowered their fake gear. One of them took off his vest completely. "Ma'am, I'm not doing this. You said this was a routine property check." She turned on him like a viper. "Do your job or you'll regret it." He didn't move. Instead, he looked at me and said, "Sir, can I leave?" I nodded. "Gates open." As he walked off, Karen's fury broke through her composure. "You think you've won?" she shouted. "You think the law cares about some rundown cabin?" I smiled faintly. "Karen, I don't need the law to care. I just need them to see." Her phone buzzed. She glanced down and froze. The name flashing on her screen was Sheriff M. Collins. I saw her hand tremble. She didn't even answer, just shoved the phone into her purse and hissed, "You'll pay for this." Then she stormed off to her SUV, slamming the door hard enough to echo through the trees. As the tires kicked up dust, I watched her go. My daughter stepped out onto the porch. "She's not stopping, is she?" "I know," I said quietly. "She's just changing tactics, and that means she's getting desperate." Inside, my phone buzzed next, with a message from the sheriff himself. "We've been watching her for months. Keep the cameras rolling. You're about to help us end this whole operation." That was when I realized this wasn't just about my land anymore. Karen's HOA was part of something much bigger, and I had just become the key witness. The next morning, the air felt different, heavier, like the woods knew something was about to break. I got a text from Sheriff Collins at 7:47 a.m. sharp. "Stay calm. Cameras are set. Let her make the first move. I didn't even have time to reply before I heard the rumble of engines again. Not just one or two, this time 5. Karen came barreling down the road in a white SUV, followed by 4 pickup trucks full of her so-called HOA enforcement team. Most of them were just angry neighbors she had brainwashed with threats and fake fines. She jumped out, red-faced and wild-eyed. "This is it," she shouted, holding up a thick folder. "Court order! You're done!" I kept my voice calm. "Show it to me." She slapped it into my hand with a smirk like she had just won a war. I scanned the paper, full of typos, missing seals, and a signature that looked suspiciously like her own handwriting. "Karen," I said slowly, "this is forged." Her grin faltered. "No, that's official. The judge approved it last night." I held the paper toward my camera and said clearly, "To the Clear Pines County Court, this is a fake eviction order signed by someone pretending to be a judge." Her eyes went wide. "Turn that off," she screamed, lunging forward to grab my phone. That's when the unmarked truck at the end of the road flashed its lights twice. Sheriff Collins stepped out with 2 deputies, all wearing body cams. "Miss Walker, that order you're holding, the real judge says it's a crime to forge his name." The crowd went silent. Karen tried to laugh. You can't prove that's me." Collins raised a small remote and pressed play. Her voice filled the air, recorded from her last phone call. "I'll print the signature myself. He'll never check." Her knees nearly buckled. The deputies approached, but she spun toward her crowd of HOA enforcers. "Don't just stand there. Stop them. Arrest him." No one moved. They had all seen the truth. One man slowly dropped the makeshift security badge he'd been wearing. Another muttered, "She lied to us." Collins took a step closer. "Karen Walker, you are under arrest for forgery, impersonation of authority, and attempted fraud." She started to shake, voice cracking. "You can't do this. This land is ours, the HOA." "The HOA," Collins interrupted, "is now under state investigation. Every fake fine, every illegal threat, it ends today." She tried one last act of defiance, pointing at me with trembling fingers. "He set me up. He's dangerous. But Collins didn't let her finish. "He's the man whose land you tried to steal and the man who helped us expose your entire racket." As they cuffed her, she screamed, "You'll all regret this." But the only answer she got was the sound of her own people backing away from her. My daughter stepped out onto the porch again, arms crossed, eyes shining with quiet relief. "So, it's finally over?" I exhaled slowly, watching the sheriff's team load boxes of evidence into their trucks. "Almost," I said. "The land's safe, but now the truth's coming out, for everyone she ever hurt." Collins came over, shook my hand, and said, "You just helped us shut down one of the biggest HOA fraud cases in this county's history." And for the first time in 10 years, I looked out at that mountain and felt peace. Not just for me, but for everyone who'd ever been bullied off their own land. The video of her arrest went viral within hours. The top comment said it all. He didn't just take back his home, he took back freedom.